The Superlight 2 SE can be summed up with one word. Why? This is one of the most baffling products I reviewed. I have no idea what Logitech is thinking here.
Money!
This is technically a cheaper Superlight 2, but to refer to it as cheaper is a massive stretch, and you'll see why later. When this was leaked, I thought that this was going to be a response to the vast number of Superlight clones on AliExpress. If you aren't aware of these, they are very similar to the Superlight. There's maybe a 1mm difference in length, width or height. They'll obviously have different internals, but nothing that could be considered a massive downgrade. These are made by niche Chinese manufacturers who often have direct ties or own factories that make the products, so the process of making these is often cheaper. I compared the Superlight 2 to what is considered to be one of the weaker clones, the Incot G23, and the G23 was overall better. These clones can cost between $30 to $70. And they're offering a product that is arguably better than a mouse that now costs around $180. That's right, the price has gone up, which is probably because of the tariffs. Now, before you get mad, let's spare a moment's thought for the real victims of these tariffs, the shareholders and CEOs. I mean, can you imagine owning a super yacht and having to sell it? And then having to having to rent one instead? I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Before I inspect the 2 SE, there are benefits to a Logitech product that these Chinese manufacturers just don't have and are often overlooked. They have greater availability worldwide, with them being available in physical shops. They have a 2-year warranty with a great warranty process. Regardless, more people are becoming aware of these Chinese clones that offer far better value for money, with little to no drawbacks. And that's where a cheaper Superlight 2 could come in. But no, because bafflingly, this mouse is almost identical to the Superlight 2. In fact, it's only different in 2 minor areas. One is the battery capacity, which has been reduced by around 7 hours less than the standard Superlight 2. This is a result of the second change, which is that this mouse now only supports 1000 Hz by default. However, you can buy the 8000 Hz dongle separately. To make another version of your flagship mouse 2 years later, make it identical, including all of the faults, and make no improvements whatsoever is madness. And this mouse collapses further when you take into account the price of it. Now, one of Logitech's main competitors is obviously Razer, who offer cheaper versions of their flagship high-performance mice. I won't get into the confusing naming scheme and inconsistencies between these products and the Hyperspeed branding. The point is, there's the flagship competitive product, which at the time would have the best technology Razer has to offer, and a cheaper version with reduced specifications, often using their previous generation components but into the new shell. Now, at the time of recording this video, the Superlight 2 SE isn't available in North America, probably because of the tariffs. Who knows? Whether or not that changes in the future, I don't know. But I'll give you the prices in pound sterling, what I paid, and also in USD. But the USD price is a direct conversion, so it might not be the correct price if it ever releases in North America. The Superlight 2 SE, if I go by the MSRP on Logitech's website, is £119, £30 less than the full version. But wait, there's savings to be made, my friends, because the 8000 Hz dongle costs just £25. So if you buy them separately, you can turn your Superlight 2 SE into a Superlight 2 for £5 less. However, if I do this by the average sale price of the Superlight 2 on Amazon, the Superlight 2 SE, based on its full £119 price, would be around just £12 cheaper than the Superlight 2. But thankfully, the SE is already on sale at Amazon, so it's actually £32 cheaper. But this means, though, if you buy a Superlight 2 SE when it's not on sale and buy the increased polling rate dongle later, you'll pay more in total than the Superlight 2 is when that's on sale. This product only makes sense if the Superlight 2 is discontinued and the SE replaces it, because having two mice pretty much occupy the same price bracket on average is just insane. Also, this feels pretty scummy to me. It's common that a mouse is released with an increased polling dongle being a separate purchase for those that want it. To do this 2 years later though, when people didn't have this choice originally with the Superlight 2, seems a bit shit. Especially if you only use your Superlight 2 on 1000Hz. It might just be me, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this or not. It just doesn't sit right with me. What's even more insane is the fact that this is just a Superlight 2 again. You still have some of the worst stock mouse skates to feature in a gaming mouse. For these to exist in a $180 mouse is criminal. For them to still exist in this one is even worse. These are incredibly thin, and you can feel the scratchiness on any soft based cloth mousepad or any glass mousepad, and it creates unnecessary friction. You can even hear the difference. Every other manufacturer, even the cheap Chinese clones, supply better mouse skates. Also, this mouse still comes with the same faulty mouse 3 switch that has been a real thorn in my balls. When you press and hold the scroll wheel switch, the input can drop if you slightly reduce the pressure without releasing the switch fully. This makes basic functions like click dragging with the mouse 3 button borderline unusable. So if you use this function often, like I do, it's incredibly annoying. I've had this issue with my original Superlight, my Superlight 2, which I then RMA'd because of this issue, the replacement Superlight 2 they sent me, the Superlight 2 Dex, and now my Superlight 2 SE. That's 5 mice with the same fault. They are just reusing the same and clearly faulty components. This is really Logitech in a nutshell. This is the third iteration of the same Superlight, and yet there's been no real improvements. The better performance often equates to a 3 millisecond reduction in sensor and click latency, something that isn't perceptible by anyone. But what is perceptible is faulty and poor quality components, and it really shows that there is just no effort put into these products anymore. And it's a huge shame. Logitech is responsible for some of the best gaming mice of all time. The Superlight is one of those. But to see this company get completely, and I believe the kids say mogged, by unknown Chinese brands is both hilarious and sad. But really, they could have at least tried, or made it look like they're trying. But I think that just sums up Logitech now. They could try, but they don't want to. Save yourself some money, buy one of the cheaper Chinese clones. I'll have them linked in the description below.